We live in a world where sex is often treated like a performance, something to impress with, rather than connect through. But what if I told you that the most powerful moment to create an emotional bond with a man, the kind that makes him see only you, isn't during the perfect date or after weeks of texting, but in that one raw, intimate moment when he's already at his most vulnerable? In the moments of physical intimacy, something far more powerful than pleasure is unfolding beneath the surface. It's in these private, unscripted seconds that emotional intimacy has the potential to take root, not just a fleeting connection, but a lasting psychological bond. While the world often reduces sex to a biological act or a form of entertainment, the truth is that what happens during those moments between two people can shape the trajectory of their relationship in deep and often unspoken ways. For a man, especially, being with someone physically is not only about physical gratification. It's about a moment of rare openness. It's a time when his guard is down, his instincts are heightened, and his vulnerability is most present, even if he doesn't realize it himself. When you allow someone that kind of access to your body, you're not just giving them something physical, you're offering emotional trust, whether consciously or not. That trust, when nurtured intentionally, becomes the foundation of emotional intimacy, and it's within that space that the possibility of true psychological bonding begins. This is where most people miss the opportunity. They see sex as the climax of connection instead of what it truly is, a doorway to deeper emotional anchoring. This is the time when a man is more likely to remember not just how he felt physically, but what he felt emotionally: safe, desired, respected, chosen. Emotional intimacy isn't built on grand declarations or rehearsed lines. It comes from subtle cues, small affirmations, and the deep sense that he's not just being wanted for his body, but valued for who he is at his core. If you've ever wondered why some connections feel unforgettable while others fade quickly, this is one of the critical differences. The ones that last are the ones where both partners felt emotionally held, not just physically touched. When a woman uses these moments to make her partner feel seen, understood, and genuinely appreciated, it touches a place that very few people reach. Men are often taught to hide their emotions, to guard their hearts, to stay in control. But in sex, that armor softens. And if in that moment you meet him with words and energy that reinforce his emotional safety, that he matters beyond just the act, that his soul is being acknowledged, that's when bonding happens. Not because of the physical mechanics, but because you've met him in a place so few ever do. It's in those words whispered in the dark, those glances of truth between movements, and the emotional clarity you bring that changes how he views you, not as someone he had sex with, but as someone who gets him. And when a man feels emotionally understood, it hits a part of his psychology that creates loyalty, desire, and connection that's incredibly difficult to replicate elsewhere. Men are often portrayed as strong, self-assured, and emotionally detached when it comes to sex. But underneath the surface, they carry the same need for emotional validation as anyone else. In fact, in moments of physical intimacy, that need becomes even more amplified. While many women are socialized to express their emotions and seek verbal affirmation, men are more frequently conditioned to hide theirs. This doesn't mean the need goes away, it just goes unspoken. During sex, a man is at his most unguarded. He's in a space where his need to feel accepted, wanted, and appreciated rises to the forefront, even if he's not consciously aware of it. This is why the things you say while being intimate with a man can either nourish that hidden need or leave it starving. Too often, we assume that men just want admiration for their physical performance. But what many truly crave is to feel desired on a deeper level. They want to feel like they're not just satisfying someone, but being emotionally chosen by them. When a woman expresses her desire in a way that feels emotionally real, not just performative or reactive, it taps into a part of a man that rarely gets touched. That moment becomes a powerful space where he doesn't just feel wanted for his body, but valued for who he is. This kind of emotional validation isn't about flattery. It's not about complimenting his body or feeding his ego. It's about giving him the rare experience of being emotionally seen and accepted in his most exposed state. When a woman can look at a man while he's physically inside her and say something that speaks to who he is, not just what he's doing, it cuts through every layer of defense he's been taught to build. It tells him, I see you, I want you, I choose you. And in that moment, he's no longer just a man having sex. He becomes a man bonding with someone who truly gets him. This need for validation also links directly to loyalty. When a man feels like he's emotionally understood and that someone desires him, not just the version he performs, that emotional safety becomes addictive. It's no longer just about attraction or chemistry. It's about emotional connection. And the more he feels emotionally safe with you, the less he needs to seek validation elsewhere. When you speak to a man's deeper self during sex, when you recognize and reflect back his emotional world, you're giving him something far more powerful than physical pleasure. You're giving him the rare experience of emotional recognition, which is what most men are starved for but never ask for directly. That moment becomes something he carries with him, something that redefines how he sees you and the connection you share. The moments shared in physical intimacy are unlike any other, not because of the act itself, but because of the emotional vulnerability it invites. It's in those seconds, when two people are closest, that the walls tend to drop, defenses soften, and the truth of a connection is revealed. What you say during those moments has the power to either deepen the emotional roots between you or create distance that lingers far beyond the encounter. Most people underestimate the impact of words during intimacy. They think the physical connection is enough, that the body will say everything that needs to be said. But words spoken in that sacred space carry a different weight. They land not just in the mind, but in the heart, and they're remembered. Men in particular may not always be vocal about their feelings, but they absorb and internalize the energy and language their partner uses during sex. When a woman speaks with intention in that moment, she's not just participating in the act, she's shaping how the man feels about her, about himself, and about the bond they share. A simple affirmation, a genuine compliment, or a word that reflects emotional connection can plant a seed that grows into loyalty and attachment. On the other hand, silence, detachment, or words that feel transactional can reinforce a sense of distance, no matter how physically close the two may be. This is where the opportunity lies. The things you say during intimacy can validate him in ways the outside world never does. They can let him know that he's safe to be seen, not just as a physical partner, but as a human being with emotions, insecurities, and desires. They can let him know that he's not being used for what he can do, but appreciated for who he is. And when that message comes through clearly, it creates a shift inside him, a recognition that he's in the presence of someone who actually understands what intimacy is meant to be. That kind of realization creates a different level of connection, one that is not easily forgotten or replaced. On the flip side, when those moments are treated carelessly, when a partner is emotionally absent, distracted, or dismissive, it doesn't matter how physically intense the experience was. Something vital goes missing. The man walks away with a sense that something was lacking, that he wasn't fully met, and that the connection didn't reach the depth it could have. Over time, these missed opportunities create emotional gaps. That's why it's not just about being present physically. It's about being intentional emotionally. Saying the right thing at the right time can transform an ordinary moment into a deeply personal experience, one that lingers in his mind and heart long after the moment has passed. The emotional tone you set during intimacy will echo in the way he remembers you, the way he speaks about you, and the way he prioritizes you in a world full of distractions. Every man, no matter how confident he appears on the outside, carries silent fears beneath the surface, fears of not being good enough, not being truly seen, or not being chosen for who he really is. These fears often lie dormant in everyday interactions, masked by charm, wit, or strength. But during sex, when his body is exposed and his guard is down, those fears don't just disappear. They hover just beneath the surface, waiting to be either soothed or triggered. What a woman says in that moment has the unique power to speak directly to those hidden insecurities and either intensify them or calm them. If she chooses her words with care, she can speak into a part of him that very few people ever reach. When a woman expresses emotional recognition during intimacy, when she says something that shows she sees beyond the surface, it strikes a chord within him that resonates far deeper than anything physical ever could. It tells him that he is not just a body, not just an experience, but a man who matters. It tells him that he is enough, that he is valued, and that he is safe to let his walls down without the fear of being judged or compared. And because so few men ever hear that kind of affirmation in such a vulnerable state, it hits with a rare kind of intensity. These moments of intimacy are not only about connection, they're about reflection. A man subconsciously asks himself, even if he doesn't realize it, am I enough for her? Does she really want me, or is this just a moment? And when her words answer those questions with certainty, his attachment deepens. He stops thinking about competition. He stops wondering what's missing. Instead, he feels chosen, and that feeling is everything. It's what makes a man shift from being physically present to emotionally invested. He begins to associate her not just with pleasure, but with comfort, security, and emotional fulfillment. This is why understanding a man's silent fears is such a powerful key to emotional intimacy, because when you meet him at that emotional level, you're not just having sex, you're creating safety. You're telling him, I see you, I understand you, and I choose you exactly as you are. That reassurance may seem small, but in the intensity of that intimate space, it creates a ripple effect. He leaves that moment feeling seen, feeling proud, feeling whole, and in a world that constantly pressures men to hide their emotional needs, that experience becomes unforgettable. The right words, spoken at the right moment, can rewrite a man's story about himself. They can silence the noise of past doubts and failures. They can replace old fears with new confidence, and they can establish a bond so deep, so emotionally anchored, that the idea of chasing validation elsewhere begins to lose all appeal. Authenticity during intimacy holds more power than any scripted seduction or rehearsed phrase. When you're in a moment as raw and emotionally open as sex, the truth of who you are and how you feel cuts through louder than any technique or trick ever could. A man doesn't want to feel like he's being manipulated with cleverly crafted lines. He wants to feel like he's being met by someone real. When the connection is genuine, every word, every touch, every look carries more weight, more meaning, and more staying power. That's why saying something heartfelt and unscripted will always leave a deeper impression than trying to sound like what you think he wants to hear. In those moments, men aren't just listening to what you say. They're feeling the energy behind it. If your words come from a place of confidence and truth, they disarm him. They reach through the physical into something emotional. But if the words feel forced or hollow, if they come from a place of insecurity or performance, he senses that too. It doesn't create intimacy, it creates distance. The difference lies not in what you say, but in whether you mean it. Because when you speak with sincerity during sex, your words become anchors. They tell him he's not just being desired, he's being understood, accepted, and wanted by someone who is fully present. This is where most people go wrong. They think intimacy is about saying the right thing at the right time, when it's really about saying the real thing. That's what creates emotional imprint. That's what makes a moment unforgettable. A soft whisper that reflects how you actually feel, not what you think will turn him on, is far more powerful than any line you picked up from a movie. It's not about performance. It's about presence. And presence is what keeps a man mentally, emotionally, and physically engaged long after the moment ends. He remembers how you made him feel, not just in his body, but in his heart. If you made him feel accepted, if you made him feel like he didn't have to prove anything, that kind of memory lingers. It's not because you said something perfectly erotic. It's because you were real with him in a space where most people are still pretending. The honesty you bring into that space becomes the thing that separates you from everyone else. Because in a world where people are constantly performing, the person who can just be is the one who becomes unforgettable. So many women overthink what to say, wondering if it's sexy enough or smart enough, when the real secret is being emotionally tuned in. When you speak from that place of grounded self-assurance, when your words reflect not what he wants to hear, but what you truly feel in that moment, you create a ripple effect inside him. You activate the part of his brain and heart that associates you with truth, with safety, and with real intimacy. Desire and neediness may appear similar on the surface, but they create completely different emotional experiences. When a woman expresses desire during intimacy, it tells a man that she's choosing him out of genuine want, not out of desperation, loneliness, or fear of losing him. That difference is subtle, but it is everything. A man can feel the energy behind the words you say. If you're speaking from a place of emotional security and grounded confidence, your desire becomes magnetic. It doesn't chase him, it draws him in. But when your words or actions come from a place of need, trying to hold on to him, to prove your worth, or to prevent him from drifting away, it changes the entire dynamic. Suddenly, instead of feeling chosen, he feels pressured. Instead of feeling special, he feels responsible for filling a void. The power of speaking from desire lies in your ability to make a man feel both wanted and free at the same time. That combination is what most men crave but rarely find. It's intoxicating to feel that a woman wants you, not because she needs something from you, but because she enjoys who you are, enjoys the connection, and trusts herself enough to stay open without clinging. That kind of energy is rare, and it instantly sets you apart. When you speak while you're physically and emotionally connected, and your words say, "I want you," rather than "I need you," it gives him the space to lean in rather than pull away. Neediness often shows up in subtle ways. through over-explaining, over-praising, or trying to say the right thing in hopes of being liked more. But real desire is quiet confidence. It's the way you say his name in a moment of closeness. It's the tone of your voice when you tell him how he makes you feel. It's in the pauses, the eye contact, the comfort in your own body, and the ease with which you let him in, not just physically, but emotionally. Those small cues send a loud message that you are whole with or without him, but right now in this moment you're choosing to share yourself with him. When a man feels that kind of desire, his response shifts from physical to emotional. He begins to associate you with calm, with clarity, with something rare and real. He doesn't feel trapped, he feels inspired. Inspired to give more, to be more, to show up for you not out of obligation, but out of deep attraction and appreciation. The way you communicate in those moments with poise, vulnerability, and sincerity becomes a mirror to him. It reflects his own desire back at him, but it also shows him the strength and self-respect you bring into the relationship. That balance between openness and independence is irresistible. It's not about trying to keep him, it's about being the kind of woman he doesn't want to leave.